Also, don't forget to share your screen. Whoever does that.
Will do. So
I'll admit everyone in.
I'll share my screen. There we go.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll let everyone in. Oh, perfect.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello. We'll just wait a few minutes to make sure we've got everyone who wants to join, and then we'll be all set.
So we have someone from Germany. I hope you're enjoying the heat wave that's going on. Oh, that's Kira. And then we have someone from US. Hello.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I'm new to the group, so thanks for doing this. I had time today, so I thought I would just join you. So
yeah, no worries. Thanks for joining. Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Namrita. I'm also new to the group and I'm so excited for this.
We're excited to have you guys as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've invited all of our chapters, so it should be a pretty international crowd today.
Yeah.
Looking forward. All right. Just give it maybe one more minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you say you could hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Oh, hello. Good morning. I just wanted to mention that there's a big news conference on because of the Biden-Putin meeting. So I don't know how many people you have in the States, but they might be sort of mesmerized at the moment.
Makes sense.
We won't hear it, for days on end.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for letting us know. That's probably going to take away from some people.
Sure.
All right. So, actually, I think we can get started probably.
Definitely. I think.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I will ask first before we start that everyone goes on mute just for the presentation part, and then at the end we'll have questions and you can all unmute then and then we can speak. All right.
Hello.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, hello everyone, and thank you for being with us tonight, or this morning if you're in the States, for our travel talk on how to co-learn and travel. So some things are getting a bit more improved in the world with travel. We thought we'd inspire you guys by giving you some ideas on some very unique forms of travel. So just a quick mention, we're going to be putting this up on YouTube later. So just in case you guys miss anything as we go through, you can get all the information there again. So yeah. I'm Juliana and I'm from JoinMyTrip, and I'll be your host tonight, and I've got great support as well from Akshya.
Hi everyone, that's me. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some helpful information tonight to get you guys all inspired as we were while researching for this talk. So before we start, I would like to share some house rules with you. So we'd like to remind you guys to just keep yourself muted during the travel talk. So if you're not sure how, you will find the button in the left corner. But don't worry, definitely you can ask all the questions that you might have at the end of the presentation. And we'd also like to remind you to use the chat respectfully, and you can also ask all the questions, and we have our colleague Kira who would be answering them to you. And if you want to share your feelings as well, you can use the reaction button during the travel talk, and you can find them by clicking the button in the bottom middle. So Juliana, what do you think? Should we try it now? Are you guys excited for tonight?
Yeah, maybe a couple.
Brilliant.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So for the ones that are new with us, we'll just quickly go over a little bit of who we are, so as JoinMyTrip, and why we're putting on this travel talk. So if you've seen this part before, just stay tuned. We'll get to the information in a bit. So if you've ever been faced with the challenge of wanting to go on a very specific trip, and we're very excited, and maybe you couldn't wait to start planning, but you couldn't find anyone to go with you, maybe they didn't like the trip idea because it just wasn't their thing, or they didn't have the time, and then you ended up not going at all. We realized that a lot of people were facing this challenge, and that's why we created the platform JoinMyTrip. So this platform is a place where we connect trip leaders and trip mates. Trip leaders are the ones that organize and plan trips. They can publish their travel plans on our platform, and interested trip mates can request to join along in their adventure. And as a trip leader, you actually get to earn a little bit of money for organizing the trip, which is really cool.
Exactly. So whatever your budget is, wherever you want to go, and whatever type of travel activity you prefer, there are so many different options and opportunities. So whether you'd like to be the one organizing or simply just packing your bags and joining along. So currently our community is about 140,000 strong members, and we are growing every single day. So one thing I always like to say is that we represent the world's biggest community of trustworthy travelers.
Yes, and that's why we're really putting together these events, so that we can have a place to connect fellow travel lovers through our platform and empower you guys to explore together. So if you'd like to learn more, you can feel free to check out our website. We'll post the link for that in the chat now. Also, in general, for all of the links that we're posting in the chat afterwards, you guys will get an email with all of those links involved. So just in case you missed them in the chat, you'll get them later. So Akshaya, do you want to give our audience a bit of an overview on what we'll be talking about tonight?
Of course, I'm very excited. So first, we want to talk about the what exactly co-learning is, and then we'll be taking a look at all the different types of activities that can fall under co-learn travel. So for example, for the adventurous, it's all about outdoor activities like surfing and climbing, and for the more health conscious, which at least I like to say that I try, but we'll get more into wellness activities such as meditation, yoga, and all things calming and relaxing. And finally, for those who are into creativity, we'll go over some culture and art activities. So for all of these, we'll also give you a few of our top destination picks so you can get a bit inspired for where to start planning your next trip. So Juliana, let's discuss what exactly co-learning is.
Yes, so co-learning is simply just learning together. So coming together with others and supporting each other in your growth and acquisition of new skills. So learning something new while traveling is not a new concept, of course, but I think travel with the express purpose of collaborative learning in mind is something that can be new and exciting for a lot of people who maybe haven't ventured into this type of travel before. So the types of things that you can learn can fall under all sorts of categories, as we said before. Some might make sense to you and be something you've already done yourself, like skiing and whatnot. So which we'll mention that later. But as well, we'd like to broaden your horizons a little bit, take you maybe a little bit outside of the box and teach you how to have a super unique and fulfilling trip where you come back with more enriched and skilled than before, and maybe with a new hobby.
Yeah, this is something I absolutely recommend, because trying something new or learning something can never be defined by age. So on to our first category, this is water activities. There are, of course, many different forms, but our top recommendation would be surf and kite surfing lessons. So this is a classic co-learning activity, and you can find these lessons all over the world, pretty much anywhere there's waves. But our favorite picks are first in Hawaii, which is an absolutely famous destination for surf classes and camps. So we won't give you specific recommendations, as there are many different surf camps across the different islands, and I'm sure you can find them just on Google easily. Next is Agadir in Morocco, where you'll find stunning beauty and some high quality waves. Plus, you get to experience Moroccan cuisine, which is my absolute favorite. Third, we've got Sardinia, Punta Tretu in particular. So as it's considered one of the best kite surfing spot in Europe and in the world. So this is a perfect kite surfing beach, especially for beginners and for people like me, because it's shallow enough that you can stand up and walk if you need to. Lastly, we have Dominican Republic, a great destination for learning how to kite surf. In particular, we'll recommend the town of Cabareta as a hotspot with several different kite surfing schools to check out. So one thing that we would recommend is to try visiting this place in winter, because the waves are especially good at that time of the year.
Those all sound super beautiful, but I'm not going to lie, surfing is still one of those things I might need to work up a bit of courage for. So our first water trip highlight, we'd like to show you guys this really interesting surf and yoga retreat in the Algarve. So this one is coming up very soon. So it's for 1 week from the 26th of June. And it includes 5 days of surf lessons, with each day starting and ending with a yoga session. So if you are interested in something, planning a spontaneous trip, maybe you want to check this one out. We'll post that in the chat for you guys now.
Yeah, and I would also like to highlight here another cool kite surfing co-learning trip, which is my favorite as well, in Western Sicily, which is available from now until the end of October of this year. The trip will include stops in Marsala, Trapani, and Mascara del Vallo. So the best thing is that you'll be able to receive a certificate afterwards.
Awesome. So on to our next activity, which will be sailing courses. So for those of you that like to live out your inner pirate dreams, so you won't need your own boat for this, don't worry, that there's always rentals available, or you can just hop along on someone's boat. So the first thing we'll recommend is the Dalmatian Islands in Croatia. It's a paradise for sailing enthusiasts because it's got these picturesque coastlines and really beautiful weather. And there's a range of sailing schools to choose from there all along the coast, so you can check that out. The second one we'll recommend is Tahiti in French Polynesia. So it's a place where you can take kind of more luxury sailing courses. Nautilus Sailing School in particular provides sailing students with like a really cool live aboard experience. So we'll post the link for the chat for you now about that school. Yeah. Third up, we have Port Victoria in the Seychelles. So if you prefer somewhere a little more tropical, it's a really breathtaking place to learn how to sail, and it's packed full of isolated islands and secluded bays. And fourth up, I may have added this just because I'm an upstate New York native, but the Great Lakes in the US, super close to my heart, and I grew up swimming in Lake Ontario. The Great Lakes collectively are among the top freshwater destinations in the world, and they provide sailing enthusiasts with varied conditions and a huge number of destinations to explore. So if you're looking to learn how to sail, there's a really great company called the Great Lakes Sailing Co. I will post the link in the chat for you guys if you would like to learn there.
Yeah, all these options sound so great. We have one such sailing trip, which involves a very picturesque coastline. So our trip leader, Riaz, will be offering a series of sailing trips all throughout June and July. So send him a message if you're interested to know more, and Kira will be giving you the link for this trip. Okay, so last up in this whole water series, we have diving classes. So even without certifications, you can take courses at so many different diving spots around the world, where an instructor can guide you through the whole process and take you through the underwater world. So here are some of our picks for diving destinations. First in the category is Indonesia. So it's scuba diving Raja Ampat in particular, which is pretty unique. It's one of the best places in the world to see high numbers of reef sharks and manta rays. Next is Koh Tao in Thailand. So while this island is small in size, the underwater scenery is really amazing with vibrant reefs and great shipwrecks. Third is Fiji, of course. There's plenty of different schools around for day trips or full-on certifications in Bly, and it provides some of the most beautiful soft coral dive sites in the world for you to explore. And last is Valletta in Malta with clear waters and rocky scenery. The islands are super good for diving, and also there are over 80 ship and aircraft wrecks in Maltese water for you to check out.
Diving a wreck sounds extremely cool. I'm going to have to add that one to my list. So moving on, our next trip highlight will be this really cool scuba diving trip up on the island in Italy by our trip leader, Ricardo. So it runs anytime you'd like between now and October. You can just contact him and see what dates work best for you. And it will include 4 days of lessons in the Mediterranean, which sounds really awesome right now. So we'll post the link in the chat for you guys.
So now I think we've talked enough about water. So let's move on to some recommendations for land co-learning activities. It's super broad again, I know, but there are loads of potential activities in this category. So Juliana will give you some of our picks.
Yes, so first up, we have climbing lessons, whether indoor or outdoor. So there are loads of climbing centers all over the world, but for travel purposes, there are plenty of climbing co-learning activities that can take place outdoors and give you some spectacular views. So first up, of course, is Yosemite. It's known as one of the world's greatest climbing areas. So whether you're a beginner or expert, there's a lot of variety for different types of climbs you can choose from. So we're going to post a link for the mountaineering school in Yosemite in particular, as they offer daily classes for all levels, which is really cool. So that'll be in the chat for you. Next up, we'll recommend the Canary Islands in Spain. So they have volcanic eruptions have kind of created these vertical cliffs and kind of chimneys and overhangs that give a large selection of climbing routes to choose from, which are pretty cool, especially if you're a bit more advanced. Third up, we have Madeira. So it's usually known for its amazing landscapes and walks. But their climbing activities there are also pretty amazing. They range from easy and beautiful climbs to some more challenging ones. So you have a lot of variety there to choose from. And finally, we'll recommend Rocklands in South Africa. It's an area that's been hyped by professional climbers for years. The varied red sandstone offers something for everyone, and the style kind of resembles more indoor rock climbing with its very steep walls.
Juliana, you were telling earlier that surfing scares you the most. For me, it's definitely climbing because heights make me so nervous. So let's move on to something that I'm really comfortable with. So next we have got cycling tours. We are sure most of you know how to cycle, but in different terrains, you will definitely need some new training. So first up, we've got Isle of Wight. The island is tailor-made for great cycling with over 200 miles of cycle routes through some of the most scenic countrysides in UK. Next, we've got Colorado, specifically Boulder. Boulder is the North American base for professional cyclists. Being on the edge of the Rockies, there's the possibilities of doing some serious riding, none of which would be below 1,600 meters in altitude. So Aspen is also stunningly beautiful and another great cycling destination. Third is Lake Garda in Italy, the largest body of water in the country, and its beauty attracts thousands of cyclists who throughout the year rush to the northern banks of the lake. And lastly, we've got the Loire Valley in France, a unique 800-kilometer cycle route, which is a large stretch of Loire, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So keeping with cycling, we'll go on to another trip highlight. So if you want to do something kind of in July, we've got this really, really cool looking monastery and mountain bike tour by our trip leader, Francesco. So you'll have some gorgeous mountain views, and you'll be able to explore a couple kind of abandoned old monasteries, which is really cool. So the link will be in the chat for you guys if you're interested in checking that out a bit more. So on to our third activity, which will be skiing or snowboarding, as we said before. Another classic co-learning activity, of course, and it has to be the best winter activity that I can think of doing. So first up, we'll recommend St. Anton Alberg in Austria. So it's always been famous for its beauty, reliable snow, and really excellent condition of its slopes. So it's a really great destination. Next up, we have Val d'Isère in France. It offers like a really vast ski area with great snow and optimal conditions for skiing. So temperatures are regularly sub-zero during the day throughout all of winter and into April. So you have quite a bit of time to be able to go skiing there.
Yeah, I have one as well, which is Whistler, Canada. This place is apparently the best ski resort in the world and the biggest in North America with world famous ski lessons. You can even study to be an instructor there if you would like. So Kira will give you the link there. And finally, we have got Niseko in Japan, which is famous for its stunning views of Mount Yotai, as well as consistently good quality snow throughout the winter.
By the way, if all of these recommendations have left you feeling rather inspired, and you might like to put on one of your own trips, our colleague Anna will be hosting a travel talk on Thursday, July 1st, and we'll take you guys through the whole process of putting together a trip on our platform from start to finish. So we'll put the link in the chat for you guys, and also we'll be sending the link to you guys afterwards. So if you're not able to make it, of course, you can check out one of our past recordings of that talk on our YouTube page. So we'll give the link for you as well. And also you can check out all of our old travel talks there. And if you even want some extra support, you can also book a 15-minute slot with our travel experts. As you can see, Akshay and I are included in that category. So we're more than happy to share our knowledge with you and a one-on-one session if you would really like to create a trip. So we'll put that link in the chat and you can schedule like a 15-minute meeting with one of us. So Akshay, back to the recommendations.
Yes, perfect. Now it's on to my favorite topic, which is outdoor survival training. So for those wanting to get back into the wild. So again, all of these activities you can make a part of your travels, whether you're a pro or just trying it out for the first time. You're certain to have a good time for sure. So first we have Alaska. So any kind of trip to Alaska is an adventure. But every June, the organizers of Expedition Alaska put on what many considered to be the most challenging adventure race in the world. Next, we have New Zealand with the Spites Coast to Coast, which happens every February, a multi-sport adventure race on New Zealand's South Island. But don't worry, the atmosphere here is more of a fun run, so nothing too hardcore. But if you'd dare to really test your survival skills, then maybe it's best to try one of the world's most inhospitable places, which is the Australian outback. So Australia's most legendary survivalist, Bob Cooper, has a survival school for those of you wanting to try it out. And lastly, we mentioned the UK as a great destination for outdoor survival, particularly because of all the offerings of Bear Grylls Survival Academy across the country. So there are different options that really look interesting, and we'll link that website for you now to check it out. All right, so on to the co-learning wellness section. So there are many different wellness retreats all over the world, giving you guys plenty of options. So Juliana, you can go ahead and talk about all things holistic.
Yes, so first up, we have yoga. Of course, beginners all the way up to certified instructors, there's always a trip option available for you with this one. So first up, we'll recommend Bali, Indonesia. It's a classic choice for yoga lovers. So there are countless beautiful yoga studios and retreats all over the island. We'll send you in the chat a link by culture or trip of their top 10 picks for different yoga retreats across Bali. So next we have Uttaranchal in India. It's a beautiful retreat. They have a beautiful retreat nestled in the Himalayas. So the spiritual journeys are personalized after extensive discussion with you. And are customized to each individual guest, which is really interesting. And I'd love to try that out. So we'll post the link in the chat for you guys if you would be interested in checking them out a bit more. Third up, and surprisingly, we've got Mexico on our list, as it's fast becoming what's considered the Bali of the Americas when it comes to yoga, specifically Sayulita and Tulum. So Sayulita is considered the ultimate hippie surf town with an abundance and variety of yoga offerings. Yes, but if you're looking for something a bit more Instagrammable or just very picturesque, you can always check out Tulum. The coastline is sprinkled with a lot of different open air yoga resorts with spectacular views of the Caribbean Sea. So that's a really nice option. And fourth up, and also a bit strange one, we have the Isle of Arran in Scotland. So both serious students and those who just want to dip their toes and try meditation and spirituality can end up coming to this really cool retreat. So if you'd like to check that out, if you're a bit curious, we'll have the link in the chat for you now.
I think I would definitely like any of those, especially those retreats by the beach would be so beautiful now. But yeah, I'll just stick to recommending you guys trips So this trip is taking us to Croatia in the Sun Coquette Retreat, which so many different offerings. So from the 4th to the 10th of July, they offer the spiritual, I don't know what's wrong with me,
Okay.
spiritual healing week full of meditation and self-reflection with your fellow co-learning mates. So we'll post more here, and feel free to check out the other offerings in their program.
Yes, awesome. So now that we've got an adventure and feel spiritually, let's move on to our final category, which is culture and art. So there are many activities that can fit into this category. So you can put in like acting classes, for example, dancing trips, photography, language learning, martial arts, and so many more. But to keep this travel talk to a reasonable length, we'll give you guys just a few of our top picks for activities and destinations that you can go to. So Akshay, would you like to start us off with the recommendations?
Of course. So next up, we have cooking classes, and what better way to celebrate a culture than to learn from its people as to how to make their food so tasty. So first we have Tuscany, which is an absolute must for lovers of Italian cuisine and steak. So we'll highlight here the company Tuscany, and there are many offerings of different cooking classes for you to try out on your trip, and we'll post that now. Next, we have Paris. So when people plan their trips to Paris, they tend to forget that the city is also a foodie paradise. So American French cooking expert Patricia Wells offers her expertise on the cuisine to travelers in her week-long English language cooking class in both Paris and Provence. And if you're more like me and absolutely love some Mexican food, the Los Dos cooking class on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico is a must-do. So they've got trips to the region's lesser-known cantinas with great food. So Mayan chocolate indulgence class, customized food tours, and a full-day taste of Yucatan class. Lastly, for the carnivores, we have got the North Carolina Barbecue Society with its barbecue boot camps to teach you how to make some delicious, authentic Southern barbecue.
That's making me very hungry. Okay, so let's move on to another highlight. So this one involves a 10-day tour of the Amalfi region, also given by our trip leader Gaetano. So besides the historical aspects of this, you'll also be able to take cooking classes from a local grandmother, which is really awesome, and I think one of the coolest things that you can do on a trip. So seriously, it's the perfect way to immerse yourself. So if you'd like to check that out, we've got that link in the chat for you now.
So I know we've made you guys super hungry, but if you're a real cultural foodie, then definitely check out our travel food show by one of our JMT team members, Maria Lynn. So she highlights and tries out some different foods from cultures around the world. And I am always hungry watching her show.
Let's kind of move away from the food, but not too far. So we'll go into our next category, which is wine. So this one, might be a bit of a stretch for a co-living activity, but I guess you do learn a lot about wine when you're on a wine tour, so that's something. So first up, we have the famous Champagne region of France. So you can make an appointment for a tour at any one of the big houses for a delicious descent, as there will be many caves, into wine history. So late fall is recommended as the best time to visit here. So next up, we have Napa Valley, one of the most famous destinations in the US for wine. There are so many different wineries and tours available, so you can book yourself a wine bus with some friends and get to drinking and learning a bit, I guess. Third up, we have Caranilla in Spain, which is both a region, a grape, and a wine. So if your travel plans allow, you can stay for the Harvest Festival in early September, which celebrates the start of the grape harvesting. And there's even a barefoot grape smashing event, which is pretty interesting. So next we have Etna in Italy, yes, as in Mount Etna. So the lava that periodically flows down the volcano also makes the soil that's heaven for hungry grapes. So in particular, we'll recommend scheduling an appointment at the Tenuta delle Terre Nere to taste their acclaimed Roseau wine. So we'll post the link in the chat for you for that really cool winery.
Okay, so before we move on to our last two categories, we'd like to talk briefly about remote working or taking a vacation. So this is an innovative way for those of you who want to work from home to get out there and explore some of these activities without having to use up all of your vacation days. So in essence, you could get some other get together with someone and book a nice location to work or study together during the daytime. So in your free time, you can get out and explore. So this would allow you to keep on schedule with your tasks while also allowing you to get out and explore a bit and enjoy the beautiful location and meet like-minded people.
Yes, so our colleague Anna just recently returned from a really fantastic co-working trip to the Canary Islands. So she had a great time working, laughing, exploring the island, chilling at the beach, going on wine tours, and making us all super jealous. So yeah, so those were some of the photos before, actually, in the previous slide you saw. But yes, if you'd like to learn a bit more about how you can plan your very own co-working trip, we'll be hosting a travel talk on the 23rd of June, so next week. I'm taking you through the whole process on how to become a digital nomad and travel and work at the same time. So if you'd like to check that out, we'll link that in the chat for you guys now. So Akshaya, shall we get back on track?
Perfect. So on to our next activity, which is exploring history. So this category involves everything from walking tours, museum workshops, courses, and the sky is the limit. So first up is Machu Picchu. So many people come to Peru for the sole purpose of visiting Machu Picchu, and the journey to the ruins can be an adventure. So opt for a guided multi-day hike and camping trip along the famous Inca Trail to reach the site. Next, of course, is Rome. The city is an absolute treasure trove of ancient history. The Colosseum, the Pantheon, St. Peter's Basilica, and so much more, which has to offer. And third, we have Petra. So for those that love impressive architecture, scrolling through the red cliffs into the ancient city of Petra, or checking out some Greco-Roman history in Jerash, visiting Petra is an incredible way to interact with the past. And this was seriously one of my favorite historical destinations. And finally, last pick is Egypt for historical tourism. Egypt is so incredibly rich in artifacts and architecture, and you could plan a trip for months and still not even scratch the surface when it comes to learning about the history of ancient Egyptians. So if you're a fan of Italian history, that involves more than just seeing the Colosseum, though. We've got this lovely offering from Gaetano again, so of a week-long tour through the history and beauty of Puglia region of Italy. So this trip runs from the 1st until the 9th September and involves many walking tours in UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which stops in Bari, Ostuni, Galatians, and many more. All right, Juliana, so on to our final activity.
Yes, so for our final one, we have painting and pottery classes, especially ones that get you outdoors and connecting with the art history of the region. So first up, we will have Florence, Italy. It's a city absolutely filled to the brim with art. So Florence offers a variety of different art history, and painting classes for every art lover. So you can check that out. So next we have Prague. If you'd like to leave your own mark on the culture of Prague, you can grab some paint and check out the Lenin Wall. It's a Beatles-inspired graffiti hub, and you can, leave your own, I said that, leave your own mark. And third up, we have Virginia in the US for paintings as well, particularly in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley region. So there's an entire retreat actually dedicated to painting outdoors, and they teach you how to paint the beautiful landscapes in this lovely environment. So we'll post more info in the chat for you guys now. And finally, for pottery, we have Japan, in particular Mashiko. So there are a lot of different classes, particularly the Mashiko Togai, situated in a rural village famous for pottery, referred to as Mashiko Yaki pottery. So if you'd like to check out that trip, we'll post the link in the chat as always.
Not quite painting, but our next highlight for you guys is this really cool photography trip to New York City. So for 1 week from the 25th of September to the 1st of October, where you can learn your way around a camera while watching the sights of the city. So a rental camera will be provided for you to capture New York City through your own eyes. So this trip leader also has another one of these teaching trips up in Cuba as well. So if that would be more of your speed, you can definitely check that out.
So guys, we've come to the end of our recommendations. So we really hope you guys have enjoyed and feel inspired to start planning your very own co-learning trips. So we've got a lot of other trips, travel-based events going on soon, and you can check them all out on our events page, which will be posted in the chat. Yes.
So yeah, we have some of our upcoming events as well. So which is first is travel in a post-COVID world, which will take place on June 17th. Next one is Digital Nomad Travel Talk on June 23rd. Next one is Vietnam Travel Inspiration, which is on June 30th. So before we start with our question and answer session, Juliana and I will need you guys to give us a hand.
Yes, so if afterwards you guys could take 1 or 2 minutes to fill out our feedback form that we'll send you. So just so we can get an idea of how to keep improving the content of these webinars for you guys. In the future, you'll also receive these slides and have the chance to win a voucher for either 20 euros or 24 US dollars, depending on your currency, off of one of our trips. So we'll just post the link in the chat for you guys now. So before we go, do you guys have any more burning questions for us? You can unmute or put it in the chat and we can answer that way.
Yeah. Kira, did we miss on any of the questions? I don't see anything.
No, I want many questions, but there's one just now, if we have done any of the cooking trips. So I haven't done personally, I haven't done one, but what about you girls?
No, personally, I have not done as well. Juliana, have you tried that out?
I haven't done like a trip. I've done one of those just like date night cooking class type things. And that was really cool where they teach you like how to put together a dish, and it was really interesting. But to be able to like travel and do it with like in Tuscany would be really amazing. So that's, yeah, definitely on my list of future things to start doing on my next travels.
So I have someone asking about the insurance. So yeah, we are partnered with Allianz. So for everyone in Germany and Austria, we have free insurance, but we are definitely working into adding more countries as well. And any trips to Argentina or Uruguay?
Well, we have 2 trips online that are going through all of South America, if I'm remembering correctly. And also I have gotten a direct message from Real. Pandemic situation is in other countries to visit. Please keep yourself updated. The pandemic situation is different in every country. So just keep yourself updated on the country you want to visit.
Sorry, when I mentioned about the insurance, I meant like specific insurance for like when it's you know, like kite surfing or things like that, where you could climbing, where you could injure yourself, you know. And I'm not in Germany or so I don't know. Do you have to advise people to get their own specific dangerous pursuits insurance, or?
I believe that most travel insurance will cover health insurance as well. So if you were to be injured somehow, if you have travel insurance while you're on your trip, it should be covered. Any hospital bills.
It will be for like, you know, dangerous sports. No, not at all. I'm sure it won't.
I mean, if you're injured in any way, you should be able to cover medical bills, but I'm not sure specifically like damage of property or anything like that.
No. I mean, if you injure yourself doing something, I think you have to have a specific insurance for like climbing or something.
If you do a tour, you sometimes get insurance from the provider. Kind of depends on what you're doing and how risky it is. But normal things like just going for a climb or going kite surfing and stuff will be included in most travel insurances. And yes, we do recommend getting travel insurance, especially in times like this.
That's correct. So do we have any more questions?
I'd like to add on the topic of insurance. A lot of places and a lot of countries now offer like kind of within their travel insurance, COVID travel insurance, which can cover like actually cancellations in the case of some new regulations being put in place that might end up canceling your trip or something like that. Or and in general, if you get sick with COVID on your trip, they'll usually cover for that. Or if you have to cancel because you got COVID or something like that. So those are really helpful to have in place. Any more questions? All right, so if there are no more questions, then I'd like to thank you
There's
all.
one more question.
Okay,
a very general question. What has been your favorite trip?
Favorite trip? Actually, you want to go first?
Yeah, so probably my favorite trip is my trip to Turkey. So that's always like, it holds a very special place in my heart. Juliana?
It's a really hard one to say. Either like my multiple trips I've taken to Lebanon, which have been absolutely gorgeous, or I went to Seoul in South Korea to visit a friend, and I essentially spent the entire time just eating and like all the different Korean food and at the markets and at the fish market, and it was just absolutely amazing. So that'd probably be my favorite. What about you, Kira?
Oh, I'm the boring one that has to say I love my Australia trip. That's like my go-to answer for favorite trip because it has been amazing. But there has been one more question.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Some countries need visa for some nationalities. How we can handle this visa? We should handle it ourselves, or you help us?
You'll have to handle it. So with JoinMyTrip, when you're paying for the trips themselves, it won't cover transit or any kind of visa related things. It'll just cover accommodation and certain like things like plans, maybe some museum tickets, rental cars, things that kind of happen along the trip. So for you to get the visa sorted, you can actually ask your trip leader. Maybe they have some information that might be helpful to you on how to get that sorted. But otherwise, yeah, we can also help if you message us directly. We can give you some advice.
Okay, good, thanks. Actually, I had some other question, but I checked your site and I found some of them.
All right. So any more before? All right. So yeah, so if there's no more, I'll thank actually Kira for, one more. Okay, no worries.
Can anyone be a trip leader or are trip leaders verified?
No, anyone can sign up and become a trip leader. So we actually do, we can help you out with the process. As we said, we have that link and you'll receive it in the email. If you'd like to do a one-on-one consultation, we can kind of teach you how to do the entire process. So to be a trip leader, really all you got to do is just put a trip online, have a chat with us and connect your bank account so that you can receive payments. And that's pretty much all you have to do.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Am I unmuted? I was just thinking, I kind of wanted a bit of clarification on JoinMyTrip itself. I was just thinking, what would stop a tour company from just joining JoinMyTrip? Is that a good thing or not? I mean, I was thinking about someone in Bali who has a wonderful place, and I'm like, well, why shouldn't I just let him know and have him join JoinMyTrip? Are you just dealing with individuals, or are you dealing with tour companies? Is there guidelines or anything like that?
No, tour companies can also join along and they can advertise on our platform. So a few of the trips that we highlighted were by different retreats and different, for example, surfing schools or diving schools themselves. So not individuals, but businesses as well can, and different tour companies as well can post on our website.
Okay, I just came back from a research trip in Desert Hot Springs. And when I'm writing this book about mineral waters all over the world, so I can't wait to put those trips together. But I just found out that there's all this cannabis going on, and more or less, I just sort of discovered CBD. And I think it would be really cool to learn more about hemp and the difference between hemp and cannabis. And I mean, it's a product that's, I guess, used for an awful lot of different things and has been around for a long time. And a lot of people don't know anything about it. They're sort of afraid of it, or they're like, oh, you're a big pothead. But, you know, the only reason that I'm speaking out is because we're talking about co-learning, you know. So I was just wondering, would there be any interest, or is there any guidelines on that for JoinMyTrip?
I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys know. I mean, if there's a possibility for a co-learning trip like that.
Sure, it's a possibility, but you have to clearly state that you're not doing drugs. Because in Germany, where our company is based, drugs are illegal. Like cannabis is illegal. So there might be problems when posting trips on Facebook because it's connected to a German website and stuff like that. So be careful with that. With like we don't like, we have medical marijuana, but it's not very common. The people that I know smoke pot, do it illegally. So
well, the interesting thing is when I travel, I see these very posh shops. You know, like I remember the last one was in Bath, and it was all about CBD. And I think there was another little town in Portugal, and it's all devoted to CBD. And I just tried it. I have this arthritis, and it works, you know, great. But you don't get high from the stuff that's in CBD. One of them, it's the same plant, but you know, just for information, one of them is a male and one of them is a female, and they don't, you know. So, I mean, I just think there's a lot to learn, but I do understand. I was wondering about that seriously, because I think someone could have quoted me at this cannabis convention saying, I wonder if the people in Germany would like to come to California and learn about pot. And here you pointed out, I was just being funny. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind. Well, thanks very much for the answer. I appreciate you facing that and giving me insight. Thank you.
We have a question from Elaine as well.
Yes, I'm just wondering, when you were saying that travel agents could potentially post trips and things like that, are you then sort of suggesting that if you're an organizer of a trip, you don't necessarily have to go on the trip?
No, you should be. So trip leaders essentially will have to be the ones kind of taking the people along on the trip. So, so as a tour guide or as a tour organizer, you can post trips, but you should be able to provide like something alongside. So someone who can take the trip mates alongside.
So if the tour company was posting it, they should be there. They should be providing a tour guide on their trip, not just sending it on holiday, if you know what I mean.
Someone should be there. It's just that our concept of trip leader means that someone is leading the trip and someone will take care of you and someone plans everything for you, basically. And you don't have a worry in the world. That could be like, for example, we have people in Madeira having who have a co-working villa, and they take care of the people themselves. I don't know, we don't have any big companies that provide their trips on JoinMyTrip right now, but you should definitely have someone that's like there and not just let the people come to your house or your hotel or resort and just like let them do whatever they want, because that's not the theme of the website.
No, I thought that, but I just sort of, when you said that travel companies could post on there, I thought, well, are they just gonna meet the people themselves, or you know, when they get there, like sort of delegated, if you know what I mean.
For us, it's really important to have the personal touch, so to have people connecting with each other.
Has anyone else lost the visual part of the broadcast? I can still hear you, but my screen went black. Are you gone?
I can see still. Is everyone still on? Okay.
Maybe it's just me.
All right. So any more questions?
So I'll say goodbye and thanks again.
Oh, no, thank you for joining.
Take care. Bye-bye. Next time.
All right.
Thanks for your time and the tips.
One more, I think. Do you have any writer retreat trips?
Writer retreat trips? What does that mean exactly?
I think for writers, I'm not sure.
Oh, writing retreat.
Again.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that there are any writing retreat trips at the moment.
That's a very good idea. Yeah.
But check out co-working trips so you can write and work there.
Oh, wow.
And also if it's not there, create it yourself. That's like the motto for
Yeah,
us.
that's
Not there.
I don't know how to work this. Yeah, I'm a writer, so I'm interested in writer retreats, but I don't see any actually. I saw one like many years ago, in different parts of countries like Mexico and Spain and all that, where writers are hosted, and then there's like breaks and stuff like that. So I don't know if you have anyone organizing any kind of that kind of trip.
I don't know all of our trips by heart, so, and I don't think the other girls do too. But
this is my first time using this, so you're going to send me all this information by email?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then I can just research. Okay, and if I have questions, I can just email you.
And if you want to connect with like-minded writers or other people writing,
or
it could
artists
be everywhere, or artists, create a trip and meet like-minded people. There's probably a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a chicken traveler. Do you have chicken traveler trips?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Do one trip with JoinMyTrip, and you will love it, and you will find the best friends of your life there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So someone has asked, are there weekend trips for those living in the same city in a specific country?
I don't believe we have. Do you know, Kara, have any specific local weekend trips?
No, not right now, but I think we're working on it.
Yeah.
There's features that are coming up, so stay tuned, guys.
I think that's about it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are people traveling now? Are the planes able to fly to Europe and that sort of thing?
Yeah, Europe is completely open for vaccinated travelers. And I think recently it was announced that there's no restrictions on people coming from the US and Canada because the risk level is so low. I believe that's the case, right, actually?
Yeah, no, that's true. So what I read was Italy, France, and Germany, they are quite open for travelers. They have the least travel restrictions now, especially for US and Canada citizens.
Okay.
But there's a catch, you need to be vaccinated, or at least been recovered from COVID, or show a negative test.
I've had both my shots.
That's
all set to go, yeah.
Yeah, you just need to pack your bags.
But I don't want to go by myself. I lost my husband 5 years ago, and I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I understand. If you'd like one of the trips, so there's usually quite a few people joining along, like 4 or 5 people. And so the trip leader will kind of take care of everything for you. You just come along and then you kind of travel along with the people. So it's a really nice option if you kind of want to get out there and explore, but don't want to go by yourself.
That's what I'm going to have to do, because I don't like going anywhere by myself, especially traveling from one place to another. Going to Europe, things like that.
Yeah, I get that.
Did you ever go to the Caribbean?
Do we have any trips to the Caribbean? No,
not that I've seen. Do you recollect anything?
It's a beautiful place.
I'm sure, yeah.
As water is nice and warm, and
I mean, if you've already been there, you're like the perfect expert, and just create a group and just go on a trip. And when you go with JoinMyTrip, everything is super safe, and you definitely will get your money. So, and you decide who comes on your trip. If you don't want someone joining, that's fine too. So that's the beauty of being a trip leader. You decide what you want to do on your trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also decide how many get to join your trip as well. So it shouldn't be 4 or 5, even if you're happy with 2 members. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Elaine, you had another question there?
Yes. I was just wondering, when people are saying, have you got a trip to go here, or have you got a trip to go there, etc. I was just wondering if there's some possibility of capturing places people want to go, so that when tour leaders are going to plan a trip, They could think, oh God, there's a load of people who'd really like to go here. That's a good idea. I could make a trip there.
Yes, so with our platform, we encourage, so trip leaders are people that come to our platform and would like to go to a specific place, and they'll usually put their plans on the platform. But if you ever want to go somewhere and you want to go along with several people, you can always say like, hey, I'll put a trip up. We can help you through the whole process, and you can get a few people together and go. So if you're ever curious about going somewhere or want to go anywhere particular.
I've actually already put a profile on there, but I'm just sort of, my thought that came to me is I'm wondering, I'm really quite flexible about where I go, actually. I've got lots of good ideas, but I sort of like, I quite like to go, make a trip where I know people want to go. It's nice to find the interested people. You know, what I'm saying is there any scope on your website to maybe have a suggestions area? Or, hey, is anyone...
the thing is everyone, we can't anticipate what trip leaders put on the website because they decide on their own if they want to go to the Ukraine or want to go to South Africa.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean like people who are like the people who want to go on trips.
Oh yeah, we have a
saying, oh, is there any trips here or any trips there?
We have a travel forum.
Oh, that's actually my next slide. Yeah. So if you'd like, we also have a forum. So we can, yeah. So we have that link, Kira, if you can post it in the chat. If you'd like to kind of just ask questions in general about where people want to go to, or even general, like what types of hotels are nice or anything like that, you can ask there and people can answer from who are on the site. So even if like you want to put a post up on the site instead of a trip saying anyone interested in going to wherever, you can see what kind of bites you get.
And also we have
like before you go down the route of really planning it.
We also have the post.
If I said,
section.
oh, I'm thinking of going to somewhere, Georgia, for example, is anyone interested in going there? You know, just to see get a feel for it before we actually plan it.
Yeah, definitely. There's also like we have the section post where you can plan out a trip and map out a trip and ask people if they're interested. And if no one's interested, you might want like, okay, maybe not, and you're not committed to actually doing it, but like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna post and see if people are interesting. It's like the difference between a post and the trip is that you're not supposed to be committing to the post. You're committing to the trip in the end.
Yeah, because I've literally seen posts like, I just want to travel, so I'm not sure where, but I just want to travel. And there are people who have like, connected with them and made things happen. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. So any more questions about JoinMyTrip or co-learning, anything like that? All right.
Thanks for the information.
What's that?
I said thank you for the information.
Yeah, no worries at all. All right. So yeah, we hope you guys have learned a bit and are hopefully inspired to start your travels again soon. So yeah, you can always get in contact with me or Akshaya or Kira, or follow us on any of the social medias. We're on all of them, as you can see, or just email us, anything like that. We're always in touch. So thank you guys so much for joining our talk, and we hope to see you again maybe at the next one. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.